That's a way to start the show. Coughing your brains out. Hello, everyone. I'm the Reverend Phillip K., and this is the Dudeist Journey podcast. And I'll be talking with you today on our particular subject, which is regrets. Now, I've got two parts to this. This is going to be a longer podcast than what I'm normally doing. Usually my podcasts, I try to keep them around 30 minutes. Because, you know, you got shit to do. And I respect that. So, today, I was going over regrets because everyone has them. And I was watching, it was some interview with some celebrity, and she's just like, I have no regrets. No regrets whatsoever. I have no regrets. Yeah, you know, like when you were all doped up on fucking drugs and lost your house and everything. Yeah. No regrets, sure. Look, man, let's just be honest. Everyone's got regrets. You got regrets. I got regrets. Everyone, the leaders, presidents, songwriters, philosophers, just pick a person. They've got regrets. We all do. So I think it actually is better for us to actually admit those regrets. Now, I've got, like I said, I got two parts in this podcast here. And the first part, I'm going to talk about how analyzing your regrets can actually help you. Okay? It's like learning from your mistakes. And we all got them. So, let's try that, shall we? So, came across an article, because whenever, I always like to go and check out what scientists or motivational speakers or whoever is out there, what they're doing, what they're trying to say. I'm losing my freaking flame here, man. Alright, shit, drop the lighter. Hold on. Crap, where'd it go? God damn it, seriously? What is it? Don't you hate when you drop something and it seems to disappear into the dark blackness of oblivion? There we go, found it. There. Oh, I'm trying here, folks. I'm trying to keep my cool. We're getting into summer and it's hot as hell outside. And as you know from current events, some sad things have happened. We've lost Louis Armstrong, Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried, and we recently lost two great comic book artists, Neil Adams and George Perez. And I have a regret. I could have gotten autographs from those guys, but I was working at the con, and the line was long, and now I have this regret that I didn't go over and talk to them and tell them how inspirational their work was and what it meant to me. So I'm a little, I got regrets, man, I got regrets. Now, I came across this book by Mr. Pink called The Power of Regret. And I'm going to talk to you here a little bit about it. And that, you know, kind of that, you know, we have things that can't be undone. And a lot of our regrets are always like, well, I married the wrong person, but at least I've got these great kids or something. But sometimes it's not always the case, all right? So what he does is he kind of breaks down regrets into four categories, four clusters, right? Four different types, okay? So the first type of regret out there is foundation regrets, like not laying a stable foundation, you know? You didn't save up enough money for retirement, you didn't eat healthy enough, you didn't get that degree, whatever it is, that you think could have helped make your foundation better. That's one of the big regrets, okay? That's one of the categories there, okay? Now, the second regret are moral regrets, okay? This is usually from people who've cheated on their spouses, you know, infidelity, or people who were bullies. They find that a lot of folks who were bullied really regret it. So those are some types right there that could some folks could relate to. The third one is connection regrets. You know, if I'd only reached out, if I talked to that friend. This is a lot about having to do with relationships. And a lot of us, we tend to think, oh, it's been too long, and they won't want to talk to me. Well, you don't know. They might, you know. I got a friend, Mike. He's out in California, man, and we used to be childhood buddies, but we lost touch, and it's one of my big regrets that we didn't keep in contact. So I looked him up, and I got what was it? I found him on friggin' what was it? I found him online. I found his address, and there were like 3 different guys with the same name, so I sent them all a letter. And one of them responded it was him. And so we hooked up on Facebook and became friends. And then he got off social media. He's not a social media guy. He's kind of one of those guys that's paranoid of having all his information tracked. But anyway, I've lost contact with him again. I got to contact him again because Mike's one of my buddies. He's the one who got me into heavy metal. I mean, he's the guy who introduced me to the power of Metallica. And you don't forget a person like that. You just don't. Ugh. Now, and then the last one, the 4th category of regrets. The 4th category is boldness. You didn't take that opportunity. You didn't go on that vacation. You didn't quit that dead-end job. Hey, man, it happens, okay? It happens. So those are some regrets that a lot of people do because, sometimes we're so used to playing it safe, So what do you do now? You got these regrets. You have these mistakes. What are you going to do now? Okay. Well, let's take a look at this. Let's look at how we can kind of use our regrets. I think what is it said? He said, you got to maximize your regrets to live a fuller and more flourishing life. All right, Mr. Pink. He says he basically has like 3 main points that he puts down to on this. He said the first thing you got to do is you got to look inward. Okay, reframe how you think about the regrets. And don't be so cruel to yourself. We tend to be hard on ourselves, don't we? We're just like, you stupid idiot. Oh, I'm so stupid and fat and ugly. Stop, all right? Practice a little compassion on yourself because you wouldn't say that to your friends. So why the hell are you saying it to yourself? Huh? Come on, work with me here. Ugh. The next one is, so that's looking inward, okay? Now look outward, all right? Maybe talk to some of your friends about your regrets. Maybe go over things with them. Maybe write it down, or have a therapist or something along those lines. Sorry, I'm moving a lot because the little, filter I've got here, one of those screens over the microphone, it keeps fucking moving. I'm having all kinds of problems today, man. I'm dropping stuff, my light's going out. It's all, dang it, freaking smoke went out again, man. My God, these hemp cigarettes. All right, so anyway, talk to other folks. Write it down. You talk to a therapist. You got to talk it out. And sometimes your friends will help because they will talk to you like the way you talk to them with that assurance and, hey, you are good enough and you are beautiful and you deserve better and you deserve love, Hopefully they'll start doing that there with you. Otherwise, you might have some shitty friends. The third part is to move forward, okay? Extract a lesson from that regret. All right? You got to, it says here, you need to create distance to help yourself process, all right? So let's think about something like certain regrets that you understand are just not going to be big regrets. It's like, oh, should I buy the blue car, the green car? You're not going to give a shit about that in 10 years. In 10 years, what you are going to give a shit about is if you didn't go to the funeral, okay? Or you didn't call that friend and you didn't reach out, You didn't take the chance. Those are the big regrets we tend to remember. Those are the things that we have. So we have to kind of stop and think about what advice would our friends give us or what advice would I give my friends in this situation, okay? Sorry, I got these home-rolled hemp cigarettes I'm doing here, and still don't taste anything on this paper. So these are ways to help us get through regrets, and now they're talking about a way that you could probably optimize it, okay? So So Mr. Pink says, addition to the inward-outward forward system, he also offers some practical ways to work regrets into living more fully. Some people talk about a failure resume. It's a way to metabolize your past missteps in writing, Resumes, we're always talking about what it is that we've accomplished, but what have you failed at? And maybe take another examination, look at why and where you went the way you went, because he talks about how a relentless drive forward. You got to move forward. It doesn't matter which direction you take, as long as it's forward, man. You got to keep yourself focused on what it is you really want, what it is you want to do. Now here's a quote from Mr. Pink I thought was interesting. Americans have been sold a bill of goods that we should be positive all the time, that we should always look forward. Now there's a reason we experience negative emotions. They're useful if we treat them right. Regret, you don't want to wallow in it. You don't want to ruminate over it. But if you think of it as a signal, as information, as a knock at the door, it's a powerfully transformative emotion. Okay? And that's true. Like sometimes it is a knock at the door. It helps you to kind of realize some things. And I'm here to talk about one of my big regrets. I'm going to share this story with you. It's a long story, but you're going to... It kind of came up recently. A friend of mine, we were talking about the whole... I need some water. Excuse me. I got ashes over here. Hold on. I gotta clean this up. I'm just a filthy boy. Alright. So, me and my friend were talking about the Me Too movement. And I think it's good that women are having this voice, because I know a lot of women who have been assaulted and have been treated horribly over the years. And in my personal opinion, this world treats women like shit. I'm serious. The number one perpetrators of violent crimes are men, and the number one victims are women. I mean, seriously, you got to sit and look at the numbers for a minute. It's pretty wild. And it really kind of makes you realize that it's like, men are kind of a big problem. And I'm saying that as a man. I'm saying that because it's like, we got to change this, man. We got to fix it. We got to change the way we treat people, okay? We're trying to live in a society where everyone is equal, but if you live in the United States or were born and live in the United States, you don't know what the fucking equal society looks like. So we're building something we haven't built before. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means it's going to be a bit trickier, because now more people got a seat at the table, and they want to be heard. And the folks that have had the seats at the table half the time don't want to fucking listen. And so this is where it all becomes a problem. It reminds me of I used to work at this cotton company, and I worked in the back shipping area. So there were two sets of employees. You had the guys in the back doing the shipping and moving all the cotton, and then you had the people in the administrative over in the front, right? Well, the administrative would always have like parties and stuff, and we never got invited. And I thought it was a little fucked up. And when they finally did start inviting the backroom employees, well, whenever they would have like cake or something, the employees from the back, they're like, well, hell, I want all the cake. You know, I haven't been able to come here at all. I want to get as much cake as I can. And then the people in administrative who were used to taking all the cake, they were like, what, I have to take a smaller piece now? Yeah, you'll still get a piece of cake, but it's not going to be as big because now other people have to be included now. Okay? So don't worry, everyone's going to get cake. Now, so my big regret. And like I said, this came up because me and my friend were talking about Me Too and everything that happened. And his fear, he said that, look, man, what I'm scared of is like, what if it's any woman can accuse you of anything and you're fucked? Your whole life is fucked. And I said, true and not true. Because a woman can accuse you of things, but you've got to have evidence and proof. And right now, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case is going on. And Johnny Depp has proven that Amber Heard was abusive to him and that Johnny Depp was basically a victim of domestic violence. And she's even got her on recordings talking about how no one will believe you. You see? So, let me tell you about what I got mixed up in. So, I'm 13 years old. I'm in middle school or junior high, whatever you want to call it. But I'm in the 8th grade, okay? About to go to high school next year. Now, I am going to a school of preppy kids, okay? All the parents are kind of upper middle class, so to speak. I come from a working class family. We're blue collar. So I didn't have all the nice new stuff and everything, you know? I mean, I tried to fit in. You know, I had a flat top haircut and no fear t-shirts. I did all that trying to fit in. But the fact is all my close friends, we were nerds, freaks, geeks, and weirdos, man. You know, it's like me, the heavy metal kid, the goofy nerdy kid, the Asian kid, and the 2 black kids in school. We were all friends. And so anyway, so there's I'm getting that whole pressure to you know, have a girlfriend, right? And this is the thing that some people don't know, is that when you're male, you are constantly pressured. Like, from the time you get hair on your balls, you are being pressured to have sex. Not by women, you're being pressured by other men who are mocking you because you haven't had sex. Even though they haven't had sex, they're going to go and give you shit because you haven't. So, you know, this is the early 90s. I'm trying to get a girlfriend. And there's this one girl I like. But she's not just any girl. She's the girl, okay? And that's all I'm going to call her, all right? Just to save, you know, save face from folks here. I'm just going to call her the girl. Now, what do I mean by the girl? Well, straight A student, was on the basketball team, head cheerleader, the lead in the school play. It was that girl, okay? Now, I had a couple classes with her, and one of the classes we had was the theater class, okay? I auditioned, and I got my first part in my first play. It was a small part, but I don't give a shit. And I know people always do that. Oh, there's no small parts, only small actors. Shut the fuck up. There are small parts, okay? All right. When I only have 2 minutes of stage time, and it's a 2-hour play. Yeah, that's a small part, okay? So, but yes, make the most of it. So, anyway, so I like this girl, but I don't know how to approach her. You know, I'm nervous. I'm scared. I don't know what to do or say. And none of my friends have girlfriends, so they don't know what the hell they're doing. And, but sure enough, like a kid, I go to them for advice. And they tell me that if you want to get a girlfriend, man, you got to write her a poem. Yeah. Girls love poetry, man. Yeah. No, women love weed. I don't know as much about poetry, but I know pretty much every woman in this country, especially the moms that love weed. So, I'm like, okay, but here's the thing. I'm a bit artistic. I'm a bit of a writer, so to speak. But the problem is that I'm also showing signs of severe depression around this age. Suicidal thoughts and stuff, and I'm drawing, you know, skulls pouring blood and everything. So I'm trying to, but this girl seems to like, the girl, she seems to have all her shit together. So I'm like, maybe she can help me in some way. Maybe she can kind of guide me in some way. You know, maybe, you know, I don't know. You know, and once again, this is very 13-year-old thinking, you know, that another person who's 13 years old is going to suddenly give me some advice that's going to fix all my fucking problems. So I write her the poem. I pass it to her outside of class as a note, because that's what we did back then. We didn't have phones. We had notes. You wrote a note down on a piece of paper, and then you folded it up. Some girls did it in a really weird way, and then you'd give it to the person. So she takes it. She says, "Oh, thanks." And a few days later, she comes up to me and she says, "Hey, I loved your poem. I thought it was really sweet, and I really liked it." Now, awesome, right? Like, this is the point. Like, all right, seize the moment, man. But I fucking nutted. I froze up. I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? Because usually I write the poem, I give it to the girl, and she reads the poem in front of all her friends at lunch, and they all make fun of me. Which did happen. That did happen to me with a girl. And I saw her years later. I was working at a taco place, and she came in with her friends, and I had just gotten off my shift, and she was like, "Oh, hi," you know, being all friendly. And so I was like, "Oh, hi." And then, of course, one of her friends say, "How do you guys know each other?" And she was like, "Oh, we went to junior high together." I said, "Yeah, I asked her out, by writing her a note, and she read the note in front of all her friends and made fun of me at lunch. So how do you like your tacos, bitch? Her friends laughed, she laughed, we all laughed. It was a good time. It was fun. But I got my revenge on that one. So anyway, let me talk about the girl. Sorry, I didn't get sidetracked. So she likes the poem, and she tells me she likes it, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Thanks. And like, I fucking, and see you later, and just left. I didn't know what to do. So I tell my friends, and they're like, dude, why didn't you ask her out? And I'm like, well, I didn't know I was supposed to, like rush to that step right away. And they're like, Phil, you idiot. Dude, go up to her again, ask her out. You got to ask her out, okay? And I was like, okay. But like, don't do it in front of her friends and stuff. She probably will say no, there's that public pressure. So what you got to do is, you got to like take her to lunch or something. And I'm like, take her to lunch? I'm like, dude, my family's broke. I'm poor as fuck over here. I could barely afford this No Fear t-shirt, man. We had to get it on credit. Like, like, I don't know, man. And they were like, look, man, just get like, just get what you can and buy her lunch, right? And just get what you can and then like talk to her, man. It'll be a date. It'll be considered a date. And I'm just like, don't I have to take her to the movies for it to be a date? They're like, no. Even if it's lunch, man, that counts as a date. So I'm like, okay. So I see her again, we got a couple classes together, and I say, do you want to get lunch? Do you want to have, meet up for lunch? And she says, sure. Sweet, right? But now I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to rake up some fucking money here. So I had like $2. I raked up $2, and I got 2 cans of soda and 2 bags of chips, because they were all 50 cents back then. Lord knows what they are now. So I get that, and then I told her where to meet me. I was like, meet me out over at like, it was the soccer fields, because no one really played soccer. Everyone was basketball. It was all about basketball. And so I asked her to meet me out there, and so I have like one of those flannel shirts, because grunge is big back then. And so I laid it out like a little like I'm making this little picnic here. And I got my 2 sodas and my 2 chips, and I sit there and I wait. And I wait. And I wait. She never comes. I got stood up. It was the first time ever I got stood up. Sucks. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, wait, maybe she had a cheerleader meeting, or maybe there was something with school play or something. Like I'm thinking there was probably a logical, legitimate reason why she would just ditch me and stand me up. So the bell rings. I'm walking back to class. I'm passing the basketball courts, and sure enough, there she is playing basketball with her friends. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I have this total look of like devastation mixed with anger and sadness all together in one. And I'm just like, I didn't realize it, but I stopped and stood there and looked at her and was like, what the fuck? So the bell is rang, so her friends are kind of picking up, and she sees me. She runs over. She goes, "Oh, hey, didn't you want to meet for lunch or something like that?" So I am so pissed at this point, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to be a dick. So I just went like, and I turned and I left. I just walked away. And as I'm walking away, I hear her yell, "Rude! I'm rude. I'm rude. What the fuck, bitch? Jesus, what the fuck?" So I'm like, this just goes to show that my life sucks and I'm not important. I mean, my depression kicks into overdrive with this. So I'm in my last class, which is the theater class, and she's over there talking with all her friends as if, like, I don't know, nothing's ever happened. And I'm sitting over, like, in the corner by myself, just head hung, sad and depressed as possibly could be. And my friend of mine, he comes over, starts talking to me. And I'm like, dude, I just want to fucking kill myself. That's literally, I just want to fucking kill myself. I want to restart. This life sucks. Maybe the next one will be better. And my friend, he's like, what? You're not going to kill yourself. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? What the fuck? And I was like, dude, I am. All right, I'm fucking serious. And I was like, I even got a knife. And I show him this knife. It's an old rusted pocket knife I found in a dirt field. It is like real small and thin, real skinny, and you can't even open the blade out. So he takes the knife, examines. He's like, you couldn't cut butter with this shit. He's like, dude, just, you're going to be fine. Forget about the girl, you know. or have fun killing yourself. Either way, I'll see you on Monday, right? Once again, 13 years old, no one's really taking this seriously, and this is during a time when, I mean, this was the early 90s, and mental depression, any kind of mental problems was seen as you're crazy, you know? It doesn't have the compassion it has now. Yeah. So, anyway, so I go home, worst day of my life kind of a thing, and then my mom, she puts my little brother and sister to bed, and she asks to see me in the kitchen, and my mom talks to me and says, look, we got a call from the school that you were talking about killing yourself and you had a weapon and da-da-da-da-da and all these things. And I'm like, oh, fuck, who ratted me out? Shit. Because I had told a couple people that I was just, because after lunch, you know, I had like 3 classes, and pretty much in every class, I was just, my friends were like, what's up? And I'm like, I'm going to kill myself. My fucking life sucks. I hate my life. Everything sucks. I want to die. Like, literally, that's where I'm at. I'm just completely and totally depressed. So I'm like, shit. So I talk to my mom, like, look, you know, it's not a big deal. I try and play it off because I don't want to turn it into a big deal. I don't want to turn it into a problem. I don't want this kind of attention. I would rather just, you know, someone kind of take me out and show me how much fun life is or something. But instead, it's just this big thing. And then my mom's like, you know, well, look, I think we're going to get you some help. And I started going to therapy after that. So where does the regret come in? There's more to this story. I come back to school on Monday, and I want to know who ratted me out. I want to know why they didn't just come up and talk to me, and we could just, you know, because honestly, that would have been better. Because anyone I told, I was hoping to open a dialogue and have a conversation, but they didn't want to have a conversation. They just said, well, whatever. Did you watch the baseball game? No, I didn't fucking watch the baseball game, goddammit. You know, like, none of my friends were taking it seriously at all. And so that became part of the problem. Because I think that someone had just taken it maybe a little bit more empathetically or a little bit more... You know how it is when you're depressed. It's like when you want to talk to someone, you want someone who will listen and understand. Okay? We don't want someone who's going to wait for their turn to talk. We want someone who can actually listen to us to help us go through it. Because just like in Mr. Pink said about dealing with regrets, talking to someone about it, you can get some feedback and you can start to realize that maybe you're worrying too much, or maybe you're just not seeing things from the right perspective. So I go and I start talking to my friends, asking them who told, you know, and all of them said, you know, I think it was like 3 or 4 people, and they said, no, I never, you know, I never told the teachers or anything. And then I'm sitting here trying to think, and then I thought, wait a minute, there's only one other person, the girl. She was in the theater class with me. She could have overheard the conversation without me realizing it, or someone could have told her, right? Because I didn't ask my friends if they told anyone, I just asked if they had told the office and the principal. So I have a class with the girl. And I asked her to meet me after class, and she says, okay. So bell rings, we're after class, I'm standing outside waiting for her, she comes out, and she just starts running. And I'm like, what the hell, man? Doesn't this woman know how to keep appointments? And so I start running after her like, hey, you know, and she runs into the other class, to her next class. Now, I can't go in the room because it's not my class. So I go outside the window, and I'm just standing there outside, trying to look through the window, which you can't because it's got mirrored glass. So I'm just like looking at there, kind of frustrated, like, what the fuck, woman? The hell? So I just stand there for a minute, just angrily pissed off, and I'm like, I can't believe this person. So I go to my class, and I'm just like, maybe she was late. Maybe she needed to get to class to do extra work or something. I don't know, but maybe I'll talk to her at lunch. So lunchtime comes. Eat my lunch. I go out, you know, to the play area and the grounds and the fields and the basketball courts and stuff. And I go out there and I look for her and I find her and she's talking with her friends. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I can talk to her and maybe her friends could talk to her and we get some sense of this. So I start to approach her and then all her friends circle around her. They just all circle around and they're all shuffling away. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? A cheerleader routine? So I follow them and I'm like, hey, I want to talk to the girl. Hey. They completely ignore me, and they all scuttle into the library. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're all checking out books or something. So I go into the library, and I open the door. Before I can even open the door, one of her friends comes to the door and says, "Get out of here." And I'm like, what? And he's like, "Get out of here. You can't be here. Get out of here." And I'm like, it's the library open to all students. I'm a student. I can go to the library. She goes, "No, you can't. You need to leave. You need to leave right now." And she basically shoves me away. And I'm like, okay. I don't know. All right, fine. I guess library's closed to me today. So I turn around to leave. Then the librarian stops me and she says, "You stop," and there was a bench outside, and she goes, "Sit on the bench, and I'm going to find out what's going on here." And I'm like, that would be great. You could tell me. So I sit down, and I'm waiting, and then two girls come out of the library, and I know one of them, and she says, "Hey, what did you do?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I tried to go and talk to the girl. I tried to go talk to her, but all her friends swooped around, and then they kicked me out. I don't understand what's going on." And then she was like, "Okay, well, I think you're in big trouble." And I was like, "What?" And then two guys come out, and they're buddies of mine, and one of them comes up and says, "Dude, Phil, what did you do?" And I was like, "Dude, I just tried to talk to the girl, man, and they ran off into the library." And he goes, "Dude, they're in there crying. They are like totally freaking out, fearful, shaking, crying. They said you have a knife and you're trying to kill her." What the fuck? And at that moment, my first thought was, I'm fucked. I'm totally fucked. I'm the weird poor kid, and she's like the model student over here. No one's going to believe me. I'm like, dude, I'm not stalking her with a knife. I was like, look, I'm depressed, and I had a knife, and I said, I was serious about killing myself. I was suicidal, man, but I never said that to her. I never did anything to her. They say I'm trying to kill her, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, they're all freaking out in the library saying you're trying to kill him." And I'm like, holy fucking shit. All this over fuck me in the ass sideways. Oh, shit. Fuck, what am I going to do? So I'm starting to freak out. But once again, 13-year-old mind, I get pissed. I'm like, who the fuck? Why would you accuse me of something like this? I've never even raised my voice at her. I almost did, but instead of doing that, I walked away from the situation, which is the right thing to do, but apparently she thought it was the wrong thing to do. So I'm freaking out about this, but I'm just like, what the fuck is she doing? This is so fucking stupid. And so the principal comes out, and he's going to pull me. I'm not going to go to my next 3 classes. I'm going to sit in the principal's office. He's going to call my parents, set up a meeting, all types of shit. And I'm just like, what in the fuck? This is going like unbelievably terrible. So I get hauled into the principal's office to make the appointment. I tell him what I've told you, basically my side of things, like what happened. And he's like, well, they think that you were threatening them or you were going to harm them and da-da-da-da-da. And then he said, "Where is this knife?" And I said, "I don't have it." I said, "I threw it away." And he's like, you disposed of it? And I was like, well, I mean, you have to understand, on Friday, when I showed it to my friends, I was going to kill myself, and he totally made fun of it, and you couldn't even open it, so I just threw it away. I mean, it's true. The knife was crap. Nothing I can do for it. I don't know anything about repairing rusted steel, so I tossed it. And so he's like, okay, well, we're going to have to do some things here. So they pull me out of every class I have with her. They switched me to another class, and then I got kicked out of the school play. Once again, all based on an accusation that so far had no fucking evidence. So I'm like, how the fuck am I going to deal and get through this? So I'm pissed off at this point. So I write another note to the girl saying, the next time, just put a loaded .45 to my head and pull the trigger, because it would be a lot less painful than what you're putting me through right now. And of course she took that note to the principal, showed that I'm obviously a very disturbed person, and it didn't help. It was stupid on my part, real fucking stupid. I should have just kept my mouth shut, but I was just so pissed at that point. So we have the meeting with my parents. They tell me what they're going to do. And then they tell me that my mom takes me to another psychiatrist. I'm going to a therapist. Now, therapists will talk to you, but they won't prescribe medication. Psychiatrists prescribe medication, and honestly, if you go to a shrink, that's all they're going to fucking do. So I go to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist recommends that I go to a mental institution for kids for a week. So for 1 week, I got pulled from school, and I had to go to a mental institution where I was surrounded by some of the most disturbed individuals. Some of these people were, holy fuck, they were gone. It was like, holy fuck. Some of them were just kids that needed help, that were in abusive homes, and they were just depressed because we're this is how it is. My home life wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. And honestly, it was just kind of my perspective on things is what made it so bad. So I go through all this. They put me on medication, and then I go back to school. So once again, I'm no longer in any classes with the girl, and I'm now out of the school play. And I am just so absolutely pissed by this. But when I come back, I start hearing from other people about, kind of the aftermath. And I was like, what happened? He goes, well, it turns out that it was really the girl's friends who were talking up this whole thing about trying to kill her. So they were the ones who put the idea in her head. The second thing is that she couldn't describe the knife. She never saw it. So they're like, how is it he threatened you with a knife when you never saw a knife? He wasn't like hiding it in his pocket and threatening you or something. No, never did any of that. Never happened. So once again, this was just something that some teenage girls blew the fuck up into this big drama. I don't really blame the girl so much as I blame her fucking friends. But, anyway, so some people have spoken to her on my behalf, and I've talked to others, and once again, I got my point across. I was like, look, all I tried to do was try to talk to her, and she freaked out and claimed I was trying to kill her. It was like... So I was able to get some more benefit of the doubt and not looked at like some crazy stalker person, thanks to the fact that there was no evidence, and nothing ever happened. So some folks were able to speak to her on my behalf. Now, once again, after this all happens, they've built a new high school, so I'm going to be going to this high school, and she's going to the preppy high school, which is where my older brother attends. But I'm going to this new school, which is going to be like all blue-collar kids, so I'm going to, I found my place there. Still a freak, but I found my place. I just found more freaks. But, so I'm thinking, I'm going to go to high school, and I'm never going to have to hear about this girl again, and my life can move on. So I do that. I go ahead, get out. And then about a month or two after my freshman year, my older brother comes up to me, who goes to a different high school. And he says, hey, do you know the girl? And I was like, holy freaking shit, yes, I do. And he says, well, how do you know her? And I tell him the story. Now, you have to understand that at this point, I have ditched the no fear shirts and the flat top. I grew out my hair. I'm listening to heavy metal music, thanks to Mike. And I'm wearing upside-down crosses. I've completely abandoned all faith and religion. I've gotten into demonism. I'm reading the Necronomicon. I'm just like rebelling against the whole freaking system. And because my depression has got me in such a dark place. So my older brother, he asks what happened. I tell him the story, and he doesn't believe me. My own fucking brother. He looks at me and says, no, that's not what happened. You asked her out, and she said no, and you freaked out and started acting all crazy around her because you're a heavy metal guy who hates Jesus and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, dude, I don't hate Jesus. I just hate your organized religion. I'm sorry, but it was like, this was during the time that all of the press had broken about Catholic priests raping kids. I was like, dude, this is why I'm not down with this shit. This is fucked up. These churches should not be in existence anymore, but they still are. So, anyway, because we had religious differences, he chose to believe her and not me. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. Go ahead, asshole. Believe whoever you want. But the fact is I was there. You weren't. And I know what happened, and you don't. And if what I had done to her was true, if I was threatening to kill her with a knife, my ass probably would have gotten kicked out of school and I would have been thrown in jail. Or juvie or something. None of that shit happened. I went to a fucking mental ward voluntarily for a fucking week. That's what happened. But anyway, so then, a few months later, he comes back and he says, you know, Phil, I think you were right. I think you were telling the truth. And I'm like, oh, really? What brought on this revelation, motherfucker? And my older brother says, well, the girl has accused 9 guys of stalking her in the past 3 months. And he's like, so now whenever she comes to class, I just say, hey, I'm stalking you today. So once again, got justice, which was nice in a sort of way, but the main thing, it was a big regret. I had some major regrets there. And I don't regret giving her the poem, but I do regret maybe not having a better reaction when she stood me up. But in the end, the whole event actually kind of fucked both of us, because the girl was now afraid of men. She now had this huge problem, and she thinks everyone's stalking her. She's become like paranoid. And me, I was afraid to ask out any girl. Like, I was flirtatious, but I wouldn't ask a girl out because I was just so scared. I didn't want to be accused of anything again. Because once I got hit with that, you're stalking her with a knife, I got looked at and treated completely differently. Even though nothing had been proven yet. And so I do kind of relate to Johnny Depp a little bit right now. That, you know, you've got someone accusing you of something, and it's going to take time before you can actually reveal the truth about everything. It's crazy, man, when you sit there and think about what you go through, and so the regrets that you have, the mistakes you made, what you wish you would have done, or what you wish you had done, or what you did do. So now, after we've heard how to change our regrets, and now that you've heard my crazy kooky tale of stalker with a knife, let's just take 5 minutes to kind of reflect. We're going to take 5 minutes of silence to just kind of reflect on this and think about how maybe this could help you in life. And we'll start that 5 minutes right now. All right. So I hope you're feeling good, man. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope maybe you learned something. You definitely learned something about me. And now you can kind of take that and go forward. But whatever you do from now on, man, just remember to take it easy, okay? Because when you take it easy, the dude abides. Thanks for listening, man.